Hey Hotspotters, my name's Rob. I'm here with you today with a little Photoshop tutorial. Now, as you can see here with this landscape in front of you, I'm working on a fantastic photography location if you're down Sydney South. This is actually the Cronulla Rock Pools. It's a great little location. Now, when I'm down here, I was down here just before sunrise. And one thing that obviously happens as the sun's coming up is that the images tend to go from a little bit dark to as the sun comes up, obviously you get all the light coming into your images. So sometimes pre-dawn, what we're trying to do is we're trying to add with Photoshop or in camera or however you want to try and do it, we're trying to add some light back into the scene. Now, there are a couple of different ways that people can do those, and some of the more popular ways of doing it is things like using levels and curves. Both fantastic ways of doing it, and both ways that I have used and probably use in this image to increase the light. But one way that I really like to bring out that little bit more light in my images is by using blend modes. Now, if you're not sure what blend modes are these little things over here. Okay, and basically what it does is it changes around the light output of an image, so it can make it darker or lighter or brings out a bit more contrast depending on what you're using it for, and it's something that I actually do quite a bit. I've got a couple of little techniques which I'll show you in upcoming videos that I use blend modes for. However, today we're going to talk about lighting an image. Now, again, a couple of different ways of doing it, but one way I like to do it, and what I'll just do is I'll just put these into a folder so that we can hide them for a second. Okay, so I've gone through and as you can see, I've been working away on this image here. I've got a few layers, and I've now come up to the stage where I'm getting pretty close to it being finished, and I'm just wanting to just lighten it still slightly. Okay, I still want to get a little bit more light into the image. So one of the ways I'm going to do that is I'm going to duplicate this layer here. Okay, now a couple of different ways I could do that. I'm going to press Command and J or Control J on the PC. And as you can see here, I get a copy of that layer. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my blend mode. So I'm going to go from normal and I'm going to go to screen. Now, screen's what I use when I want to lighten up that layer. So if I go screen, you'll see what happens. Okay, you can see it's basically sort of nuked the layer. Okay, it's really quite bright now. But what I now like to do is I like to take the opacity all the way down to 0 and then start to introduce some of that light back into the scene. Now, I don't have to increase it too much, and I don't think I did in my finished product of this image, but basically, as you can see, I'm just sliding it to the right, so I'm increasing the opacity and I'm getting more and more of that light into the image. So I'll take it back down to 0 and I'll just probably maybe even 10%. Again, I'm aware of trying not to overdo it too much, but if I sort of click on before and after, okay, so it's only very subtle, but I find using this type of a blend mode, so the screen, to be much more subtle than using something like levels or curves. And it just does something slightly different. I can't quite put my finger on what it is, but it does do something just a little bit different to what levels and curves does. Now, not to say that I don't use levels and curves. If you have a look down here, I actually have used them. There's curves actually in there and there's levels there. So I have used them, but this is something that you might like to play around with. In upcoming videos, I'm actually going to show you how to introduce more contrast into your photos using blend modes. Fantastic little way of doing it again. But today, just play around with that. So again, one more time, duplicate the layer, change the blend mode from normal to screen, and then play around with your opacity. Okay, and if you're curious as to what the finished image looks like, it's that there. So not too much difference. Okay, all right, well, thank you very much for watching this, and I will be in touch with you guys again soon. Have fun. Bye.